Good evening. I hereby call to order the September 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Gaithersburg Historic District Commission. For the record, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being remotely telecast, so please bear with any of the bumps in the road that we may encounter. For our roll call, please answer present when I call your name. Planner 2, Chris Berger.
Present.
Community planning lead, Greg Mann.
Present.
I didn't see Frank, but I'll ask anyway. Deputy City Attorney Frank Johnson.
I'm here. Thank
Oh,
you.
you are wonderful. Hi,
Yes.
Frank. Okay, Commissioner Mary Jo LaFrance.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner and Vice Chairman John Roddy.
Present.
And I don't know, I'm going to ask if Commissioner Rudy Morgan is present. He may be joining us shortly.
He's trying to join us, I believe.
Okay.
I don't see him, but his window just popped up.
It did. Wonderful. All right, I'll put the yes. And then Commissioner Iliad Terra.
Here.
Okay. And myself, Commissioner and Chairman Dean Lantola says present. Okay, we have a quorum. Commissioner Morgan's role tonight is as a full commissioner. Next is our preliminary statement, which is as follows. This commission is empowered to meet and act under Article 12 of the City Code of Gaithersburg. The technical qualifications of the staff of this commission and the members of the commission are on file with the City of Gaithersburg, are available on request to any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing precedent for any other application. Okay, does anyone any of the commissioners have any conflicts of interest for any application being heard tonight? If so, please raise your hand and verbally indicate as such. Okay, I hear no one and I see no one. Okay, very good. All right, next is we have one set of minutes, which is from last month's August 26, 2020 meeting. Does any commissioner have any corrections or additions to the minutes they'd like to see made? And I hear and see no one. Okay, therefore I call for, or can someone call for a motion to adopt the minutes?
I so move.
Okay, and any second?
I second that.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's now take a roll call to vote on approving the minutes. When I call your name, please say aye if you support the motion to adopt it, nay if you don't, or abstain if you wish. Commissioner LaFrance.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Roddy.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, Rudy, how are you?
Well, how you doing?
Hey, that's nice.
You like my
That's a nice-
background?
Boy, you must be enjoying yourself right now.
I'm hiding the Chinese writing stuff. Yeah, it's your back.
Very nice. Commissioner Tara.
Aye.
Okay, and Commissioner Lantola says aye. All right, next we have Historic Area Work Permit Review, which is HIST 8548-2020, which is a front porch railing installation and shingle siding replacement at 10 Brooks Avenue in the R-B residential buffer zone. Before we get started on that, please let me now read instructions to the public. Now is the time where members of the public can make comments. Right now, I can't see or hear attendees who wish to make public comments. To indicate that you want to make a comment, if you're on a computer or a laptop, move your mouse to the bottom center of the Zoom window and you should see a raise hand button pop up. Click that button and then I can call on you. If you're dialing on a telephone, you can press 9 to raise your hand. Okay, so I understand that so far we understand that there was nobody from the public in advance of the meeting saying that they want to be here, but we certainly welcome and invite people in. All right, so now
Chairman Vitola, there currently aren't anyone from the public connected. We did bring Mark and James out, and Mark currently has his video rotated. Mark, I don't know if you can adjust your phone, if you just kind of flip it up or down, because it does have you sideways there. Thank you, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, now are they representing the public or are they speaking in reference, or I should say on behalf of the applicant? Because are they not?
The applicants.
That's
They're
what I
with
was
the
thinking.
applicants.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so then based on that, may we have an introduction from staff?
Yes, if tech team, if we can go to page 6 of the packet. The subject property at 10 Brooks Avenue is zoned RB residential buffer. The Craftsman style bungalow is contributing to the Brooks, Russell, and Walker Historic District. The application comes before the HDC in accordance with section 24-227A of the City Code. The applicant has submitted an historic area work permit application, HIST 8548-2020, requesting the HDC approve the installation of a front porch railing and replacement of the wood shingle siding with synthetic shingles. If we can go to page 7. A number of sections of the design guidelines apply. Here under house design elements, the first bullet reads that new, additional, or replacement construction work on existing houses should be compatible with the historical design elements. And if we can go to page 8. Under materials, the first bullet, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. The second bullet, deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new features shall match the old in design, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence. And the third bullet, if a material is developed in the future that can provide an appearance that is historic, it may be used on a case-by-case basis. Under painting, the second bullet reads that all trim, including porch railings and floors, shall be stained or painted. If we can go to page 9 of the packet. Under siding, the third bullet reads that synthetic siding, such as aluminum, vinyl, and others, is not acceptable because these materials are visually incompatible with original materials and can negatively affect original features, such as windows and trim. And then skipping down to the last bullet, it reads, if a material is developed in the future that can provide an appearance that is historic, it may be used on a case-by-case basis. If we can go to page 10. And under porches, the second bullet reads that porches should have appropriate railings and or columns if part of the original design. And page 11, please. So first, for the front porch railing, the applicant seeks to install a pressure-treated wood porch railing around the perimeter of the front porch. The railing will stand 21 inches tall and will be attached to the brick porch piers just below the concrete caps. The pickets will be rectangular and spaced 3.5 inches apart. The top rail will be 3.5 inches wide. The balustrade will be supported by crush blocks. No posts will be installed to support the railing. The applicant also provided an alternate drawing for a porch railing that measures 26.5 inches tall. That's the drawing you see in the bottom right corner of this plan. And that railing would extend above the concrete cap. The railing in this plan will be attached to the tapered wood porch columns above the concrete caps. If we can go to page 12. And this is how the porch looks now. So note that posts have been installed along the porch railing and at the stairs. These posts appear to be related to a previous plan for the porch railing that was provided to staff that showed 36-inch tall railings with posts. Staff told the applicant that railings that extended above the brick piers would not be appropriate for this Craftsman style bungalow, but it looks like the contractor got to work in the meantime. If we can go to page 13. And here's another look at the porch. And if we can go to page 14. Staff notes that the building owner indicated that no stair railings will be installed of this project, so it is unknown why there are handrail columns at the stairs, or handrail posts, I should say, at the stairs. So staff supports installation of the 21-inch tall porch railing. The railing will provide increased safety. The style and height of the railing is compatible with the Craftsman style porch and therefore meets the design guideline in city code requirements. According to commercial permitting staff, the railing height is exempt from building code height requirements for railings, but it will require a commercial renovation permit. Staff does not support the alternate 26.5-inch railing for the porch shown on the plans, as it's not compatible with either the design guidelines or the city code. Staff seeks a condition that the columns are removed, I should say the posts are removed within 60 days of approval of this application, and the damage to the porch and stairs caused by this work is restored. Staff also seeks a condition that the railing is painted, though staff advises the contractor to ensure the pressure-treated wood has sufficiently dried before doing so. We can go to page 15 of the packet. So next, the applicant seeks HDC approval to replace the existing wood shingle siding with synthetic hardy staggered shingles in order to prevent water damage. As you can see from this photo, work already was underway when staff visited the property on September 15th. Staff contacted the applicant and inquired about the project and was told that the wood siding shingles were being replaced with this synthetic shingle. And of course, this work requires a historic area work permit. According to Brax Roofing, the wood shingles on the rear elevation were replaced with hardy shingles at an unknown date. The new shingles, as I said, will also be hardy shingles. If we can go to page 16. This is a photo from December 2018 before the house was repainted, and you can see some of the water damaged shingles to the left of the chimney. And if we can go to page 17. Here's a close-up photo of those existing hardy shingles on the back of the building. And if we can go to page 18. This was a photo diagram provided by Brax Roofing that shows the differences between the wood shingles, which are on the left, and the synthetic shingles on the right. And if we can go to page 19. This is another photo from 2018 before the repaint. The left side of the building closest to the street those are the original wood shingles, and to the right, closer to where I was standing in this photo, those are the hardy shingles. The staff also supports the installation of the synthetic shingles. Staff is disappointed that neither the applicant nor the contractor checked to inquire if a historic area work permit was required before removing the wood shingles. The wood shingles are a character defining feature of the building, and staff would have preferred in-kind replacement to the damaged shingles. The synthetic shingles are larger in width and thickness than the proposed. They do not possess the variety in wood grains, and they do not form the same rhythmic pattern. However, the design guidelines state that if a material is developed in the future that can provide an appearance that is historic, it may be used on a case-by-case basis. Despite the minor differences, the synthetic shingles do closely approximate the appearance of the wood. It should be reminded the shingles are located on the second floor, so the differences are less discernible from the ground. The wood shingles exhibited rot, and protection of the building is critical. The hardy shingles should provide a long-term solution while resembling the original wood shingles. They can be removed should there be a desire in the future to restore the original wood shingles. And joining us this evening are Mark Gittleson and James Holly of Brax Roofing.
Well, welcome, Mark and James. It doesn't matter to me which order, so I'll just go on the order that it's written. So, Mark, would you like to add to what Chris has already relayed? I can't see you. And
He's
perhaps,
muted. Mark, you are muted.
Okay, sorry about that. No, it was
Hey.
very well said.
Welcome.
All good.
Oh, okay. So no further comments. Okay, James, Mr. Holly.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I also agree with Chris and everything that he said. When I first went out, our whole plan was to match the back half of the siding, and with the James Hardy shingles, that would do just that. I also agree with the condition of the wood shingles. When I went out and I met with Alberto, he told me that he wanted to repair this siding, and I told him that that wouldn't be possible due to age, and because he already had the fiber cement shingles on the back half, it would make more sense to just replace on the rest of the property.
Okay, well, thank you so much. All righty. At this point, we could ask if there's anyone from the public, Brian, who has contacted us and wants to speak.
There is actually nobody available or no one on to speak.
Okay, very good. All righty. So then what we could do then is go right to the commissioners. So let's start with Mary Jo, our Commissioner LaFrance. What would you like to ask or provide comment about?
Well, I have a question. Are the gentlemen that are here this evening, either one of them were the ones that had come before us in the past in 2017 for applications for this property?
They were not. Mark, I don't know your relation to Stanley Gittleson. I assume you're related.
Yes, that is my father. He's one of the owners of the company.
Okay.
So Stanley Gittleson has been before the HDC before in 2017, also a tax credit he submitted in 2018.
Okay. That was the only question I have. And then I have several statements if everyone can be patient with that. I'm disappointed that the owner of the property has decided not to use this as a resource because we could have suggested, based on the evidence of what may have been deteriorated, whether this was the appropriate replacement material or not. Unfortunately, based on the exhibits in tonight's record, I don't see cause for replacing the siding. There was not enough damage from what's in the evidence to consider replacement of the entire siding. I also feel that we should probably not approve the replacement siding because this is actually a retroactive approval since the work has already begun. And in that case, we don't have to approve it. And that way it's unfortunate because the property owner could get tax credits if we do decide to approve it this evening. It would have been better for the property if the minor repairs had been completed. I believe the water damage may have been a result from the bad roof. The roof has now been replaced. The property is protected. And we may have suggested painting the shingles after the repairs to continue its waterproof ability. There is a responsibility when you own a historic property to maintain it. And there are guidelines about replacement and repair before removal. I also understand that the applicant has been before the city staff and they've advised them several times. And instead they went ahead and did work without a historic work permit. So in my personal opinion, based on lack of evidence, I do not feel that we should approve the removal of the original siding. Although I do believe we should approve the door and the railings with the two conditions that the city of Gaithersburg has suggested. And I also asked Chris to direct the city manager to issue a fine to the owner of the property for removing original siding without a historic district work permit. And that's it.
Mary Jo, I think you said door and railing. I didn't understand there's a door underway. Is there a door being considered or did I misunderstand you?
No door.
Okay.
I
All right.
apologize. That might have been the other.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Roddick.
Thank you. I have one question for staff with regard to the porch columns. If you would be a bit more specific, I noticed that your recommendation is not in favor of the columns as they are. You want their removal. Is staff suggesting a replacement?
I should clarify, and Chair Ventola pointed this out. Let me find the packet page. When I say columns, I meant the posts that have been recently installed, not the original tapered columns. So we can get
The
a better.
guardrail post.
All right, that does answer my question. Thank
Okay.
you. And I would simply state that I am no fan of retroactive applications for approval, but I'm not quite so sure as Commissioner LaFrance that it was the roof entirely that was responsible for any water damage. The overhang does not appear to be very great, and that possibly was the answer as well, contributing factor at least. So I'd leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Morgan?
I would concur with Commissioner LaFrance, particularly on the repair of the siding. I wish the occupant or the applicant would have reached out to the historical district for advice before doing any renovation to the building. Looking at the exhibit, I feel that the siding should have been repaired rather than replaced. So I concur with Commissioner LaFrance on that. And as far as finding the applicant, I reserve that. I'm not going to go that far. Regarding the guardrail, I would agree with the city recommendation and the two conditions that have been stated in that finding. The detail to raise up the guardrail above the column, I don't agree with that. I think the guardrail should be below, in between the column, it should be below. I think that's a better application. As far as the post, I agree with the finding of the commissioner recommendation. The post should be removed. And I think so far from the exhibit, that's all the comments that I have on this.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Kara?
Well, I do tend to agree with Commissioner LaFrance. I'm actually quite disappointed that the shingles were replaced, and this is being a retroactive action. I think it's aesthetically to the detriment of the property. There were measures that could have been done to repair, paint the historic shingles. There are many contributing factors. It could have been the roof or other elements. All of those could have been repaired. We have those technologies. So what the action would be remains to be determined. However, I don't think it was the right course of action. In terms of the guardrail, I also agree with Commissioner Morgan. I think option 2 is not aesthetically in alignment. I think option 1 would be the path that I would recommend. And again, supporting the staff's recommendation and painting it and removing the posts as well. But I am rather disappointed that the shingles, the original shingles were replaced.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll go next and last. I agree with my colleagues. That is very disappointing that the shingle siding was removed and started to be replaced, particularly since this applicant has come before us and knows that they need to receive permission. So it's really kind of surprising that.
Well, can I say something on that?
Yeah, let me finish. It's surprising that somebody who knows better from their experience does not choose to continue with the same process. So yes, kindly please say, make your thoughts known.
There's 2 owners of the home, and I truly want to apologize for this Alberto gentleman who took the action into his own hands and started the wheels turning. Stanley's fully aware of all the rules and regulations, was out of town for the last 6 months. And this gentleman, Alberto, did jump the gun, and we gave him a very hard time for that. And of course, we're backtracking as well. Let me just apologize to everyone on staff. We're simply just trying to make this place look as great as it possibly can. And I understand about all the historical aspects about it. This guy doesn't, and I apologize about that. And he's been reprimanded from that, and he has no further authorization to do anything in that home. I just want to point that out.
Thank you very much. All right.
I also want to speak because I met with Alberto when I came out there and we talked about the shingles. Kind of like I said before, with the damage that what I saw, and when water hits with shingles and it starts to absorb the wood and moisture gets through, if you don't replace it or if you leave it that way, moisture can spread and mold and things like that can happen. So it's kind of good to get to the wood substrate and see any damage that could be replaced to the substrate to prevent mold. The other issue is the age of the shingles. It would be very, very difficult to match or to do any kind of patchwork or repair to replace that. And from what I thought, because I saw in the back that they already had synthetic shingles, to match that, that would be the best approach. So that's kind of what the conversation was with me, Alberto. We have done work in the past. We did do the roof, and previously we did go to, I guess Alberto went to the commission to get that approved, or Stanley went.
Well, Stanley handled that project.
Yeah.
Putting money into the home. Yeah.
Yes, Stanley might have handled it. In this situation, I guess, as you stated, Stanley was out of town, but also in the process when they signed the contract, and also when we started the work, it may have been a 2-month period before we started the work. So I believe there was time to notify you guys. I do apologize if you guys are upset, but I wouldn't totally put the blame on Brack's Roofing for that. And that's kind of how I feel.
Okay. How much of the siding at this point has been changed? I thought I just saw the one elevation. Brian or Chris, whoever has the access, could you just pull up just the elevations? I guess I didn't see all 4, but okay. So that's one. And that looks like.
Yeah, when I went out there on May or September 15th, it was obviously the rear elevation has been changed, and that was done I don't know how many years ago, at least pre-2018 when I took those photos. So on the south elevation, which we're looking at now, that was almost completely removed. A stop work order was issued by neighborhood services, so work should have stopped then, but
Okay.
I haven't been out there since then, so I don't know if James or Mark could confirm that work did in fact stop. So that would mean that there.
Yeah, there's been nothing going on.
Okay,
so that would mean the east elevation and the north elevation are still the existing wood shingles.
That's wonderful. Okay, that's good. So we're really only talking about one, and I think you mentioned, Chris, it's the south elevation. And in looking at the south elevation, we bring that picture back up, it appears that the center part is still intact. The one, yeah, the other one that you had that showed the, there you go.
Package page 15.
Thank you so much. It appears that the center portion, which am I correct in understanding that that was original, or is that new? Because now I'm more than confused if that's new.
This is all what wood shingles you see there, or what shingles you see there are wood shingles, the original, or should be the original.
Okay, so then can you go back to the painted picture? Because right now, let's note before you make that change. I'm sorry, I talked too slow.
Yeah.
But this, okay, the center portion appears to match the original, in pattern. So if any of that was replaced, which according to the previous photo appears that much of it was replaced. If I'm not mistaken, the top right corner, that triangle part was original, and the bottom left corner was original, but everything else appears to be replaced because it's been taken down. Can we go back
Chair-
to the original?
Chair Ventola, I'll clarify
sir.
what you see with the green paint, that photo that is on the
Mhm.
screen right now, that is the opposite elevation. That would be the north elevation. So to the best of our
okay,
knowledge,
okay.
this is how it looks now, with the exception that it's been repainted. So it should have
Okay,
all the
now,
wood.
let me ask this then, help me out, Chris.
Yep.
There's a definite pattern difference between the center gable, the cross gable section, and the area to the right, and
You're
it's hard
right.
to tell if the
Yeah.
porch on the left
And that
is different.
and
Was
this
that-
is better. And maybe we should go to, if tech team can pull up page 31 of the packet. So if you see in what I included in the report, yellow points to the original wood, that yellow arrow, the red arrow, that's the change, that's hardy. That's what's been changed already.
Oh, okay, so what elevation is this? Is
This
this
is the north elevation.
the
yeah.
north? Okay, so
there's, yeah,
the north
chimneys
has
on
been
both sides.
changed then? The north has been changed as well as the south is underway. Is that a correct statement?
As far as I know, it still is like this in terms of having two different kinds of shingles. Wood,
Right, but the new shingle was put on the north.
correct, yes.
And it appears that, based on north, I guess, it would be the west side is to the right. And that appears, I'm talking about in the, underneath the eave, that appears to be replaced also. So my question is really, how much of the work is done? It appears that maybe 3 elevations, without knowing the front, maybe the front doesn't even have any, or very much. But how much has been done right now? How much of the project has been replaced and considered complete? I would say this elevation, I would guess the owner considers complete. The right-hand side, which I guess is the western side, that appears to, I'm going to guess, be complete. Can we look at the other 2 elevations?
We may not have photos of every elevation.
Well, we certainly probably have the front, right?
Yeah, definitely the front. That would be packet page, let's see, packet page 12, please. So this should be all wood on the,
Okay.
if we can go to page 12 of the packet. Yeah, this should be all wood,
So that's original wood.
correct.
Okay, all right. And then we don't have a rear elevation. What's down below? Is that stucco?
Yes,
Okay, all right. So front elevation's untouched. Do we have a rear elevation? Do we know?
we should have well, we do not. The rear elevation is changed. It's completely hardy.
Okay, all right. So we're talking.
Brack's roofing did not do that rear elevation.
Okay, so 3 out of the 4 elevations are, two of the elevations appear to be complete as far as the owner is concerned. One elevation, the south, was not complete because the city saw the change and prevented that change. Okay, all right. So I wish there was a real strong answer or pattern that if you did all of it, that might change my opinion. If you've done none of it, that would change my opinion. To do half and half, that's tough. All right, so let me go then and continue on my thoughts. The next part would be the railings. Can you bring up the drawing of the railing kindly?
That is, let's see. That is page 11, please.
Okay, are these vertical balusters, we can call them pickets or whatever, are those just square?
I assume that they are rectangular squared, yes.
Okay, do we have an idea of their thickness? I mean, are they 2 by 2s? Do we know?
Like 6 by 6, I would guess. I'm not sure.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Maybe six.
The reason I say that is when I'm looking at the drawing above, it says 3.5-inch width right next to the word front.
Oh, yeah.
So if that top rail is 3.5, I would think the vertical pickets, not the crush blocks that you're showing. The vertical pickets, the railings, the guardrail railings themselves, the vertical pieces. Do you have an idea what those are?
I don't.
It should be smaller, right?
Yeah, I'm going to guess 2x2s.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But a drawing is one thing. What is the owner planning on doing in reality? Actually, I think I have the answer. If you look at the bottom drawing, there's a note that says PT wood attached to brick 2x4.
2 by
So if
4.
that's a 2-inch, then I'm going to guess that the vertical balusters are 2-inch width, perhaps 2x2.
2 by
But
2.
would the owner be able to relay what they're going to use?
I don't know that answer, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now the next issue is question is how are you planning on finishing this? Are these, I know they're PT, but are they going to be painted?
My understanding, stained or painted is my understanding. I can't
Okay. Was
verify.
there
which way.
ever a railing on this project prior to your work? My gut feel is there would have to be because of the height off of the ground, that there probably was a
Mhm.
railing at some time in the past. Do we know if there was?
Not to my knowledge.
Really? It was always open?
Yeah, at least for the
Okay.
past 5 years.
Okay, well, one thing I'd like the commission to consider is, do we want the rails to be painted, or will we allow them to be either painted or stained? I, for one, don't know of any stained rails in the neighborhood. Are there stained rails? Does anybody know in any neighboring houses? Generally, the old-fashioned guys used to paint these things because of the
Yeah,
weatherability.
I'm only
I'm
familiar
sure.
with painted railings.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Would the applicant be opposed if we requested that you paint these?
That would be no problem for me.
Okay, all right. Okay, now, this is for Chris. Chris, you mentioned that you talked with the agency in Gaithersburg, the technical department, regarding the height of the rails. I am in favor of the rails, the top of the railings being 21 inches if they're allowed to be, because I do agree that it is more elegant to the design if it sits underneath the truncated columns brick base. However, can I ask you to double check with the technical department on the code? Because from what I understand, Gaithersburg has adopted the International Residential Code 2018. And in that, it says that if there is a drop off that is 30 inches or more than 30 inches, you have to provide the rails. And at that point in time, they have to be 36 inches high.
Yeah.
So can we look at a photo of the front elevation?
That would be page 12.
Okay, and so if you look at the risers themselves, I believe there's 6 risers. Let's see, 2,
6,
4.
Yeah.
And if each one of those is 6 inches or more, it looks like the first one may not be. But if the others are, you're going to be, it appears that you're over 30 inches. Which I believe then would require it. Now, I'm not sure the city of Gaithersburg has any exception to that. I read through the city of Gaithersburg's comments of where they required changes. And in that section, I think it was section 312, I'm going by memory, yeah. They don't have, they have an addition, a comment, but they don't have any change to that. So I would think that that would be something that the city still requires since they adopted the IRC 2018. Can we look at a photo on the right-hand side of the house?
That is the left-hand side. So let's see.
Well, I'm sorry, the right hand of the photo, regardless, yeah. Well, okay, that one's good. You can see over here on the left-hand side of that porch, to me, that is probably, no doubt, taller than 30 inches. So please check with the technical department. If these are 30 inches or over 30 inches, check to see if there's a reason that they're not requiring it to meet the IRC. Now, if you looked at a photo on the other side, let's say the right-hand side of the front porch, it appears to be much less than this left-hand side. So it probably doesn't need a rail on that, but I would recommend you put the rail on all sides where they're required. And have them all be the same height. In addition to that, I believe that the IRC also requires handrails and guardrails on the steps. Now, that's beyond our purview, so please forgive me for bringing any of this up, but I would be concerned if the city allowed him to build this and it didn't meet code and somebody then says, well, now we have an issue. So if it's okay by the city, it's certainly okay by me, but please have me check that. All right, next then is, let's see here. I am in agreement also that the guardrail posts that are currently shown should be replaced with the new design. Okay, so that takes care of my thoughts and we went through everybody. So now we have an issue. If we require the applicant to replace what appears to be, I think, out of the 4 elevations, maybe 2.5 of the elevations. The left-hand side is already done, the rear is already done, and the right-hand side, I think, is the south side. I'm not sure, but I think that's been started and done to a good, a decent extent. The front can remain as is, and I think they're intending to have that remain as is. So my question to the commission is, what do we do if we say that you have to replace what was there? If they're saying that they can't match it, what do we say? Let's go through everybody. Commissioner LaFrance, what are your thoughts? You might be on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
What are my thoughts? Well,
Yeah, I mean, how do we get, I mean, if you say, if we
how
vote
do we
that they
get
have
there?
to replace it back, put it back, well, what are your thoughts on how they would do that?
Well, I don't think that is what I was saying. I was thinking that, well, you brought a couple of things to light I hadn't thought of. First of all, would we want to make it a condition that the front elevation remain with the original siding?
Yes,
Question
I
mark.
think that's a great
Because we
suggestion.
have not done that. Second of all, I don't think I was considering forcing the applicant to replace the wood siding that's missing now, because I thought it was far too along the way, but maybe it isn't. If most of the rear elevation is the hardy plank siding, we could accept that, because normally the Historic District Commission would look at a rear elevation with a little bit more leeway. It looks like the side elevation has just begun getting started here. So Chris Berger, could you please answer how much of the 2 sides that face the road that are not included in the back addition have actually been replaced?
I would say as much as a quarter of the right side elevation has been replaced. I would
See, and
say.
that's it. So thankfully, it's not an enormous amount. So here we are. Do we let them finish? I don't know if I'm expressing this properly, but do they finish the one side? Do they leave it as is? Do we say, okay, well, just go ahead and strip off everything? I'm having a hard time with this, especially when I believe the applicant knew that we had procedures.
I would add, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the quarter that Chris is referencing that's already been replaced was replaced at a previous date, well in advance of this work that's
Yeah.
being before you tonight.
That's the rear.
No, on the side as well.
The
The
when we
rear
say
and a
side,
quarter of the side on both sides was already done as hardy, again, prior to 2018.
Can you bring up the photos and show me
Page,
where?
page 19, please.
Yeah, the front's going to stay as is. And this is the right-hand side, Chris, is that
This is
correct?
the right-hand side, yes.
And is that the north side then, right?
We'll just call it the right hand. It's an angled street, so it's hard to say north or west,
Okay.
but we'll
Well,
call
all
it the
right.
right-hand
All right.
side.
So on this right-hand elevation, let's go and make things easy for everybody. We've already said we're going to, somebody already said, Mary Jo, and I fully agree. Let's, if everybody is in agreement, let's say maintain the front elevation as is. So that, therefore, if that's the case, that'll be off the table. Rear elevation was done prior to any changes to this building, prior to 2018 or whatever. So that therefore is off the table. So we're really only talking about the two elevations, the right side and the left side. So now, my question is on the right-hand side, what siding was done prior to this recent revision?
For simplicity's sakes, I believe both sides of the elevation of the house are identical, roughly identical. So in this house elevation, for example, now the back half, is already the fiber cement siding. And it's the same, mimics the same on the other side of the house. This side of the house is unchanged this time. The other side has, you can see the elevation has already been stripped.
Okay,
Again,
so is this correct? The gable end, what I mean by the gable end is the
lower one.
the angled, upside down, or inverted or the A-frame with the chimney. That is original siding
Yes,
that was never changed.
yes,
And to the right of the gable end and the rear porch was done prior to this current revision.
Correct.
yes.
Okay, then also the front porch's little triangle area was done prior to this porch's recent revision.
I don't think that's been done. I think that's original as well, at least in
Okay,
this
well,
photo, at least on this
tells me a
elevation.
lot because the center portion, let me ask this question, Chris, do we have any old historic photos of this house that may show that this was the way it was originally done, with the siding at the gable end different pattern than the add-ons, the porch add-ons and the lean-to add-ons? Maybe that's the way it was originally done. And without any photographic evidence, how can we say it wasn't?
That's true.
Well,
we don't
that
have any
changes a
evidence.
lot for me. All right. So can we go to the left-hand side photo, please?
That would be
Page 15.
page 15.
All right. So I would then say that, and I can't tell, but it appears that the gable end has a little bit of the siding left, the original siding.
Yes,
But it appears that all of the, and then the upper part of the right-hand side of the gable end has the original siding as well. But the rest of it looks like it's changed. So to me, I'm not even sure that this is that big of a deal as far as seeing if the applicant can just mimic the right-hand side as far as the detailing. What I mean by that is the front porch triangle part and the back porch triangular part can be the new siding because that's what's used on the other end, the right-hand side. And we have to conclude without any other evidence that that was original to the house, which certainly could have been. Then let us say that particularly because it's down right now, they didn't put it up, that they have to find siding, even if it's wood siding, that matches the pattern that's there now, which
Yep,
in the center gable area.
yep, yep.
To me, that sounds like it is the best thing for the house without much burden upon the applicant. Now that I've said that, Mr. Applicant, what are your thoughts? Do you think that that's acceptable to you? That is, put up the siding in the triangular parts that matches what you were going to be doing anyway, I think, but just then the cross gable part, center part, get that to match the original pattern. And then your house would be architecturally proper. That is, both sides of the house would mimic each other, which is quite proper.
Yeah, the
Would that be
uniformity.
acceptable?
Right. I'll do whatever's in the best interest of the neighborhood. So really, whatever
Okay.
you tell me.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you for saying that.
Can we ask if Mr. Holly, if that's even possible, can you even find wood shingles in that pattern that can replace what was torn off on the left side?
Yeah, I was going to say Brax Roofing only works with James Hardy. We're certified by James Hardy. We install fiber cement shingles. It's going to be hard when it comes to that installs and mimic that. Or more so.
Hardy won't allow you to use real cedar shingles, but can't you as a contractor use real cedar shingles?
That's right.
Yeah, we can and install them. But matching the ones that's there now, I don't know how likely that is. I'll talk it over with my production manager and go over it with my boss and see, but I can't promise you that.
Well, I would think cedar can be cut in a pattern,
Yeah,
just like,
Yeah.
and it's the overlapping pattern, the overlapping that gives it the pattern. So I would have to believe. Is it possible to bring up that painted elevation again? I apologize to you again, Chris.
Are you referring to packet page 19?
Yeah, the green painted one. There you
Packet
go.
page 19.
Yeah, that just appears to me to be
The staggered here.
variated widths that just have the bottom part with an offset alignment. I don't know why you couldn't, why a cedar shake installer couldn't do that. I have no idea why that can't be done. Does
No,
anybody?
It can be done. I didn't say that it couldn't. We typically install James Hardy siding, Brax Roofing does.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
Right. The plan was to make the back half that's already been done. So that was our whole conversation. Alberto has to pay for this. He was going to be a lot more expensive, and I didn't know if he wanted to go down that route. But if that's something that he wants done and he's going to have to spend the extra money for it, then we would be more than happy to take that job and do it.
Well, what I'm proposing to the commission is that the three sides of the house that are currently complete, for various reasons, I would think we would not touch, keep them as is, but the side of the house, which is the right-hand side, which I think might be somewhere along the south, it currently is not complete. And to me, if the applicant originally came to us and said they wanted to take down the cedar siding and replace it with something else that was a different pattern and different material, can't speak for the rest of the HDC, but I, for one, would not vote in approval of that. So based on that, does the applicant have any concerns before I go back to the commission for their comments and vote? Does anybody, before we go to the commission, anybody Mr. Gittleson or Mr. Holly, do you want to say anything further?
I'll just have to check in and see if we're interested in doing that. That would be the only thing I have to say.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, then going back to the commission, Mary Jo, yes,
May I just make a suggestion?
sure.
Would it be more prudent for us to hold off on approval or disapproval of the siding this evening with the applicant's permission so that we can direct city staff to work with them on appropriate siding, historical siding replacement for that one elevation? And maybe tonight we could, if we decide, to approve the front porch railings so that they can move forward with that project? Or should we make a decision tonight? Just
Well,
asking.
yours is a great suggestion, but the thing is that this is siding and it's open. So the building is now exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't think it would be in the owner's best interest or fair to them to have it be held open for us to meet again next month. So I would suggest that we should come to a conclusion to let him get on with finishing it. So I've spoken too much, as always, apologize. But so let me go to everybody and tell me what your thoughts are. Do you like the idea of maintaining the 3 current sites that are already done? And then tell me your 2 cents worth or your thoughts on how you want to deal with that currently incomplete right-hand side. So Commissioner LaFrance, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely 100% support leaving the siding the way it is on the rear elevations and sides of the building, and support replacement of actual wood shake siding where it is currently missing. And I would like that to be a condition of approval if that's what we decide to do, as well as making the front elevation a condition of the approval. And I support the 21-inch railing painted that city staff has suggested, if it is legally possible to do so, and possibly including some railings for the stairs and removal of the metal railings that are currently there.
Wow, that was wonderful. Okay, Commissioner Roddy?
Yes, I agree with Commissioner LaFrance with regard to the railings, and with regard to the siding. I applaud the chair for his insight. I agree with the idea of consistency. I would ask that if the applicant cannot or will not replace the shingling on the north side or the right-hand side, left-hand side, excuse me, that they inform staff immediately so that we can proceed further. You're right, leaving the building unprotected with an open side is unthinkable.
Okay, all righty. Commissioner Morgan?
Thanks for your insight, Dan. I agree with you on the siding. The front elevation should remain as it is. The elevation that is exposed right now, I agree that it need to be protected. I would suggest that the contractor take a portion of the siding as the siding that he's trying to match and take it to the manufacturer or the supplier or distributor and see if they can match that as much as possible. I think that's what I would do.
You're talking about Hardy.
Yes, the Hardy.
Do you think, from your expertise, that this can be done in cedar?
Yes.
Okay.
Take the original, not the Hardy, the original cedar, take it to a manufacturer and then cover that area and protect it. Take it to the distributor or supplier, see if they can match that as much as possible. And I sure they can. So that will be my recommendation. As far as the railing, I agree with you that the staff need to check with the city code, a building code, particularly the IBC, to make sure that, because I think anything over 30 inches drop, you need a guardrail. And you also,
IRC,
yes, you also need,
IRC.
yes, that's right. You also need handrail as well. So if you look at the existing pipe railing, it is, the height of that is higher than what the staff is recommending for the guardrail. So if we're going to remove the pipe railing, the existing pipe railing, and replace that by wood, I would suggest that the code take precedent over what we are recommending, because you also want to make sure that safety is addressed. Anything over 30 inches drop, you need to apply that recommendation from the code. So the code take precedent over what the staff trying to recommend, and I want staff to take a look into that. And as far as the pressure treated wood, I would suggest we paint the pressure treated wood, not stain. It should be painted. Painting give a different kind of class and texture. So I recommend painting rather than staining. That would be my two recommendations. Comment.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Terra.
Well, I do agree with my colleagues on most of the points. One of the comments and recommendations that I like to make is the integrity and the historic character of the building. I think that's paramount here. That's why we're here. So my recommendation is to match the cedar shakes without question. The front elevation and the two sides that wrap need to be consistent, painted to match. So I think any alteration from that would be a violation, and I think retroactive action is also questionable. In terms of the guardrail, I think that's another issue that really needs to be delved in deeply. As Dean, you mentioned, per the IRC requirements, it needs to be a 36-inch or something to that akin as part of the height for the guard. I think we need to look into whether the historic character of this building can grandfather the need for a guardrail, and what is the impetus to actually build a guardrail. So we need to question and explore that, and then have a waiver if possible, so that a 21-inch guardrail can be as a decorative element, not as a actual safety device be installed. If I recall, the heights of the current posts do meet the IRC requirements in terms of that height, and it's very ungainly. It destroys the character of that front elevation. So we need to look at that. What is the purpose and what is the reason for those guardrails? And if we go in, then I would recommend the 21 inches painted to match. That's my two points.
Okay, wonderful.
Can I make a comment here, or
Yes.
two comments actually? In
Yes, sir.
regard to the railing height, first of all, if we can go to page 68 of the packet. This is an email that I included on page 68. This is an email that I included from Randy Oler, who's one of our building plans reviewers. You'll note the date. This goes back to January 2018. So Ten Brooks has been pursuing this for a while. But basically, he says in sum that this is exempt from meeting the railing height. So I can double check with him to see if the 2018 building code, if it still meets that. But I imagine that nothing's changed since then. And then just to clarify, for the handrail going up the stairs, the metal handrail, that's not part of the review. It may be confusing because they added posts, but the building owner, Mr. Stanley Gittleson, and I included his email in the packet. Let me see, this is on page 70 of the packet. You won't be able to read it, but basically he says that handrail, the stair handrail, is not something they're going to pursue as part of this project. So nothing's changing with the metal handrail. The only thing that staff asked that those posts that were put up at the stair handrail are removed. So we're not reviewing the stair handrail at this time.
Okay, and I want to restate, it is not part of the HDC's purview to demand anything regarding code, and we're not. But we do want to emphasize that the city just has to confirm to themselves that it is acceptable to not meet code. When I say not meet code, not meet the IRC. When you had that letter up, I was trying to read it fast, and I saw that it said something of the nature that it requires it to be 36 inches if over 30 inches. So my point is, it's not our business to require any applicant to build anything to code. That's not our purview. But we do recommend that the city just checks that out and deals with it as it sees fit. This is not our business. Okay, so I think the only thing right now that I see as a question is when I heard Mary Jo's recommendation just now, she went through a wonderful list and hit every single point. Then as people spoke, the only thing that came up was the idea, I think, the issue of, is it going to be a requirement of us to say that it has to be cedar, actual wood cedar, or if they can get it in hardy that matches, that would be acceptable. So let me go down and ask each person if it is acceptable. Do you require cedar only, or are you allowing cedar or hardy? So Mary Jo, cedar or hardy?
Cedar.
Okay. John?
Cedar if it's a feasible, but if it is not, and hardy.
So cedar or hardy, or you're set, because
Yes.
cedar's feasible. I mean, you just get cedar, cut it to set different widths, and you just offset the bottom. So I'm not comprehending why that can't be done. So if that, in my opinion, and help me out, Iliad and Rudy, and I would turn to John also as an expert here. What are your thoughts? Can it be done in cedar?
It can be
Yeah.
done in cedar.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So based on that, John, that it is feasible to do it in cedar.
And the answer is cedar.
Cedar, okay, got it. Commissioner Morgan, Rudy?
Cedar,
Cedar or cedar only, or cedar or hardy?
cedar on it.
All right, Commissioner Tara?
Of course, cedar.
Cool. Only cedar, all right, and I as well say only cedar. Okay, all right, so now, based on that, does anybody have any further thoughts before we go to a motion? And I see in here no one. Okay, good. Somebody want to do a motion? Now, here's what we can do, Mary Jo. Your motion or your statement that you mentioned a few minutes ago had the lengthy issues. It seemed like everything was covered other than the idea that it now has to be cedar. Chris, is it acceptable if we say that Mary Jo's statement on her turn is our motion, or does she have to go through the list again?
Yeah, if we can go and list, based on the exhibits and staff
Okay.
testimony. And
Mary Jo, would you be so kind?
Okay, hang on, let me get my script in front of me. I wasn't exactly ready. Okay, so I move that we approve HIST 8548-2020 with conditions. Front porch railing installation is not going to happen. But what is going to happen is the removal of the posts and the repair of the front porch and the possible addition of railings. It's not really railings, right?
Well, it's railing and guardrail. It's a guardrail.
Railing and guardrail.
Top rail.
I would add real quick, and I'm sorry to interject. Those are actually two conditions that are already in the draft motion by staff. The first one saying applicant must remove installed porch. It says columns, but I think we said it's pillars. Within 60 days of approval of this application and restore the damage caused to the porch. And the other condition that's recommended by staff is the porch railings be painted.
Okay, well, I thought I had to read that into the motion. So we're gonna approve the railings with the conditions that the city have already stated. And 21-inch and painted. And
If
we
allowed
are,
by, if allowed by.
yes, of
Oh.
course.
If the city determines it's allowed by code.
Oh,
Yes. And then this is where it gets sticky. We are approving the replacement of the wood shingled siding, not with wood shingled siding.
To
not
match
hardy.
dimensions and pattern.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's complete.
I think we could just do a condition that says the applicant must replace wood shingle.
You're breaking up.
I apologize. I think we could just do a condition that states that the wood shingle sidings must be replaced in kind.
And yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And that should be it, correct?
Okay.
So I
Anybody want to
need-
throw anything else in?
Anyone else?
nope.
Yep, okay.
May I
So
have a
then,
second? Right?
I'm sorry?
Do I need a second now?
Yes, thank you, Mary Jo. Does anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
Very good, right. All those in favor, what I'll do is do a roll call. Okay, so aye if you support the motion, nay if you don't, abstain if you wish. Commissioner LaFrance,
Aye.
aye, okay. Commissioner Rai,
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan,
Ah,
Commissioner Terra,
Aye.
Commissioner Ventola says aye. Okay, the ayes have it 5-0. Okay, motion passes. Mr. Gittleson and Mr. Holly, I hope you found that we came to our conclusions based on the research and the logic and the historicity, and that you find our motion acceptable. We hope you do. I kind of think you guys do. I know based on your statement, Mr. Gittleson, that you do want to do what's best for the city and what's best for the house. And we appreciate that. And we do believe that our motion is in fact in the best interest of the city and the house, but also that, in my opinion, it isn't a major burden. It's not a significant burden to you based on the one side of the house that we're addressing is not constructed, and the other three sides that are constructed, we are saying are fine as is.
Yeah.
So I hope you find our decision acceptable.
And Chris, I would like to withdraw my direction to the city manager at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda then is our discussion topic. Is that correct, Chris?
That is correct.
Good, okay. All right, which is the Wards Crossing renaming. So Chris, may we have a presentation from staff?
Yeah, if we can go to page 76 of the packet, please. So as stated in the memo, which will be up shortly, staff has been approached by a member of the Ward family about placing a sign at the Chestnut Street CSX Railroad crossing to commemorate its traditional name of Ward Station. The freight station was named after Henry Clay Ward, who had a store nearby at Chestnut Street and Frederick Avenue. And his partner was IT Folks. Ward was also an early Gaithersburg leader who was instrumental in the incorporation of Gaithersburg. It is unknown when the station was torn down. If we can go to page 80 of the packet. This is the letter that was written by the Ward family descendant, but page 80 shows an 1894 map. You can't see it too well, but Ward and Folks own the land to the north of the tracks where the Thomas Cannery building is now located. So staff has some details to figure out, such as the design of the sign and where it will be located, but we just want to seek your input at this early stage before we come back to you for more details. We just would like to know, yes or no, or are you in favor of the renaming and placement of the sign at the railroad tracks in honor of the traditional name of Ward Station?
So you just want a simple yes and no's from us?
And any other input you would like to add?
Okay, all right. Does the, is Ms. Ward here, Helen Ward?
No, she was unable to attend. That's why she
Okay.
provided the letter, which was included
Okay.
as an exhibit.
Okay, and is there anyone from the public that wanted to make any statements?
Not at present time, Chairman.
Wonderful, thank you so much. All right, so then starting with Commissioner LaFrance, tell us your thoughts and if you approve.
Well, first of all, Helen Ward is one of my neighbors here in the Chestnut Beam Historic District. And her family and ancestors have a great and rich history in the city of Gaithersburg. So I fully support the naming of the crossing as it has been done casually to make it official and to put a sign up that's appropriate and allow city staff to come up with a reasonable design for that.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Commissioner Roddy?
I'm fully in support. I would only point out that the signage should be placed safely so that someone will not get injured by either car or train as they're reading it.
That's a good point. Very good point. All right, Commissioner Morgan?
I'm in support of the sign. I'm a student of history and I love the contributor of history. And I think it's appropriate because this particular person was part of Gaithersburg history. And I think the staff would do the appropriate thing to put a sign that would be safe. So I agree.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Terra?
I'm in full support. I think bringing a historic character and celebrating that is a very positive value for the community and for the city. So definite aye on my part.
Wonderful. All right, I'll go next and last. As I read through Ms. Ward's letter, I was more than impressed. I was just taken aback by how wonderful these people were to the city of Gaithersburg, both Henry C. and his son Carson Ward. These are significant people, one of which was instrumental in incorporation of the city itself. So we owe a lot. On top of that, this gentleman, Henry C. Ward, was the president of the first Board of Commissioners, twice, elected twice, 2 different times. And his son served as mayor of Gaithersburg, served on the city council, and served in the Maryland legislature in the 1920s. These are very important people to the city of Gaithersburg. So I would be delighted and honored if, to give my full support and be delighted and honored if the city does, in fact, give them recognition. The only thing I'm concerned about, if there is anything, is I love the design of the railroad crossing that Ms. Ward came up with, but I am concerned that because the railroad tracks are the most dangerous part in the entire city. I would not want that sign, if it was designed that way, to be near the railroad tracks in any way, because people have to, at a glance, realize that they're actual railroad tracks, not a bistro or something of that nature. So the sign is fine if they want to go there, but I would put it far away from the actual railroad tracks, so people see the signage of railroad tracks and they realize the danger immediately, rather than a casual thoughts on it. And it's not for the people who are there daily or even weekly or monthly that go to Gaithersburg. It's for the new person coming in, not knowing where they are. It's a very dangerous thing. So anyway, those are my thoughts. And so we don't vote on this, obviously, Chris, but it sounds like you guys have our full support.
Okay, I will relay the message. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Next then is from staff. Is there anything from staff? Starting with you, Chris?
Nope,
No?
I have nothing.
Greg,
Nothing for me
I think-
tonight, thanks.
thank you so much. And Frank? Frank's been quiet. That means we've been doing well. We didn't say anything that screwed it up.
Well, I've been listening, but no, nothing further to add.
Okay, then, thank you. Anything from the commissioners? Just jump right in. Anything further?
Nothing from me.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. That's it. We are
All
hereby
right, Dean.
adjourned.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Dick, Mary Jo,
you.
do you have something?
It's okay. I just wanted to thank Dean for his leadership in inspiring us for our emotions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.